Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And here to the Spanish Hall, it's always an honor to be asked to lecture here for this knowledgeable crowd. Today we are talking about expressive Latin, a big subject, a very, very big subject indeed. How can I tackle it from so many angles that it would cover everything that needs to be said about this? And so I've chosen a few things that are close to our hearts as dancers. Before approaching this subject from purely the Latin point of view, before emerging to look at things in the Latin American dance gender, I feel that we need to look at the word dance expression in a more general way, with a broader view. In dance, we use two great expressions. We can divide it in a black and white way like this, saying that we have an expression of inwardsness and an expression of outwardsness, in and out. And in the middle, we find the point of neutral. So with these two great expressions, we can cover every small detail in the vast array of possibilities that we can create with our bodies when dancing. But we should pay particular attention in trying to find the full scale of possibilities in the body when we create dance in general. If we look at these movements of the body in a very, very simple form, we can see that I am naturally standing in a very neutral position as I'm talking to you here, with no particular expression held. If I wish to, in a beautiful way, create another atmosphere or a position in my body, I would close it or open it. And you see me do this very, very simple movement of closing and opening. And in doing so, I close, I find my neutral, and then I further open from there. But it's not a very big movement or a very attacking movement as such. But in varying the speed at which this is done, and also the power in all, we can create many different things. In movement, if we close it very obviously, the whole body closes and then opens to the neutral, and further, you see that there is a big change in the way I look to you. I'm very closed. One particular expression in me now, and then opening that. So this is very clear for all of us, I believe. But what needs to be said is that when creating this mode or expression in one's body, we should employ the full being to do this. So I'm not simply just closing my hand. That is not enough. In fact, if you see my arm move from an open position into a closed position, it would rather be a movement of back, where the arm then would follow, and then I can add a head movement that follows again the movement of my back. So the movement of arm wouldn't start the procedure, nor would the movement of the head. It would be inside the body and in the back that the change will take place. So therefore, you would see a balanced change of shape in which my whole body is involved. If I wanted to add something like a leg movement in closing, I wouldn't start by closing the leg, because now I haven't actually closed the body yet. I then would follow with the rest of my body. And it is always more powerful if we engaged all parts of the body, including the eyes and the face, in this change. In Latin American dancing, we tend to choose the openness as the mode in which we dance, and that is very, very understandable because of the nature of this dance form. We are competitive, we want to attack, we want to appear large, and we want to go out to everybody. So it's normal that we choose to be open. It feels bigger. I feel more powerful somehow. It seems like I can fill the whole space much more. But at the speed in which we do this dancing, it is a danger that if we remain in this open mode all the way through our dancing, we will throw the energy out too much. We can imagine fast movements or quick spins and turns where if we come out of them with that same mode, we will probably go too far and we won't be able to finish in a beautiful manner. We can just look at a simple action of a lady's forward walk turn. Of all the actions here, if we dance it in the rumba, into a fan from the open basic. And when she dances that, she will turn, and there's a certain activity in the body that in fact closes. The back closes in. The being is actually being brought in before it opens into neutral, and then possibly further out. And a danger is that with speed, we would just stay open and we'd actually go too far. I mean, obviously, in the simple thing like this, it's very, very obvious to see, but you can imagine when we add speed, things will get more complicated. But this is in everything. So we need to always be aware of this fact and find that the control is within the body, not outside the body. In finishing movements, I tend to believe that containing and capturing your power to remain inside your body, we are far better equipped to finish the movements beautifully. We have a lot of movements where, let's say again from the lead, lady would turn a double turn under the arm into the fan, ticky, ticky, tick, like that. I would like to, in arriving here, feel that we actually catch the weight, hold it inside, and then I can distribute what I want from there. So it's not all being given out already. I don't want to go out immediately. In fact, I have expanded far too much open in my liking to finish my shape. So if we really want to do that, I would like to close here and then open the way I want to open. So let the movement not take you. You take the movement. Now, to demonstrate this a little bit more, I would like to dance a little bit of fundamental basic rumba for you. Could I have the track number 3 on the separate CD? The one in the cover, in the plastic cover, please.
May I join in?
Yeah, you can join. Yeah, I'll take her with me, shall I? Oh, would you rather see only me? No, yeah, I gathered that, yes. Is that right? No, not that one. The one in the plastic cover, number 3 on that one, the separate one. So, we're going to show you some movements in the rumba. You all recognize these steps. They are all very, very fundamental. And just like to show you these points that we talked about earlier.
2, 3, 4 and 1. 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 2, 3, 4 and 1, 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 2, 3, 4 and 1.
Thank you. Now, obviously, nothing new there. But what I would like to also point out that this neutral that I was talking about earlier is imperative in creating movement. Quite often, and I tend not to like to show you bad examples, because that's not what I do, okay? But I like to point out that I see, and I'm a little bit disturbed sometimes, to see how we rush from one step to the next. And I would really like to see that there is that dancing in between those steps. And in Latin form, especially this rhythm here, we have a certain relaxation, or whatever you want to call it, completion of weight, settling in between those steps, and that is the dancing part. Now, if we go from step to step, let's take these walks, we go from step to step, just step, 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 with that same body mode all the time. I don't think it looks as good as if we really acknowledge the weight between each one of the steps. There is this step here, and I like to find that moment of absolute neutral, almost where nothing happens just before the very execution of the next step. Yes? So there is that beautiful moment of stillness just before you execute the following step. Let's try that again. And down from here, and kachi, 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 kachi. And so you appear to be the one who's controlling the movement, and you appear as a whole person there, not running after your things that you have to do. So realization of the center, the middle execution of that stillness before the delivery of the next movement. Obviously, we can take it into a faster rhythm. Let's take some cruzado walks in shadow, and if we do cruzado walks in samba, you see that we increase the body speed, but at the same time we still like to come and collect the weight in the middle. So we pass through that middle point. Let's do a lockstep there. Shuk, akka, 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 akka. Yes? Thank you. And this leaves me with a feeling, and I do like to, in a way, intellectualize this a little bit, of staying where the movement comes from a lot longer. Not going to the next one. See, I'm not even joining her, or I'm not asking her to join me with these examples, but I don't like to go to the next only. I like to stay before going. So I'll stay. So this is the same neutral position. We can do this in the action of cha-cha-cha. If we do, let's say, 3 cha-cha-chas, just facing, and 1, 2, and 3, lockstep, choo, 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 and the other way, choo, 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 and again, I like to stay there, yes, before going. If we take something like a plait, I like her to stay in that leg before walking to that forward step. So I'm not bringing her just forward. I like to feel that I allow her to settle into her hip using that standing leg as she's turning. So she's not rushing to go anywhere. We can add a little bit of movement, but not much traveling. Chuk, 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 chuk. Okay? So that makes the rhythm readable. And of course, rhythm, the very word, is what formulates the dance for us. Latin American culture is full of wonderful rhythms, and we have chosen in our Latin American dance the few that we use from the Cuban, Afro-Cuban family, the ChaChaCha and the Rumba. Then we have the Brazilian Samba, slightly American jive, and then the Paso Doble from the Spanish heritage. And every one of them has their own characteristic rhythm. And obviously, this is the point that we need to be looking at. Does this dancer use this rhythm? And it's in the early training, like we've just seen in that wonderful lecture before us, how you learn those fundamentals so that from the early age you understand the basic patterns of how the feet move, how they are related to your body, and what does it feel like to actually dance them to that music. That's one of the main principles of judging. And now obviously in that juvenile level that we've just seen, that is very clear, because we have readable things that we can look at and judge. We can easily see whether this little couple is using the music or whether they can actually understand it. Now, when we get to a very high level of dancing and we start seeing more complicated figures being danced, now it's quite often when we see the couple do something fabulous and fantastic and come out with the most amazing variation, and then in the end of it have to sort of listen to the music and see where we are to be able to perform a lockstep or a walk or whatever dance we're doing. So this early training would enable us to always stay in tune with the music so that we have no trouble finding the actual bass beat. It's like musicians. You have a fabulous orchestra of Latin American musicians who perform a beautiful composition. Now, quite often they get a little bit wild in the middle. They start with a recognizable theme, which I believe is a very, very important point in any musical performance, that we know what we're listening to. Then we have that adamant rhythmic pattern underneath that keeps it all together. Then sometimes the melody is quite oblivious to what's happening underneath. The singer sings a song and it's beautiful, and we can listen to those as almost two separate things, but they knit together. Then we have soloists. We have the conguero and the bonguero, and we have the tresero, and we have the singer, and they do their little bits. And it seems like they wander off from each other, so they're never going to get back together. But it is at that very point when they hit the very fundamental theme again, that we really come to appreciate their skill, because they come back from this fabulous variation or even improvisation into this very fundamental thing. So if you listen to the music, that's when you really go, oh yeah, this is a great song, you know, because it's suddenly a song again. You've heard it before, so you feel comfortable with it. You appreciate it as a spectator. So there we are enjoying the performance. That's when everybody goes like this, normally in the concert. They've heard it all now. So there we go. So therefore these patterns of rhythm need to be found, and it's not to say that we have to use in ChaChaCha, let's say, we have to use these, you know, basic patterns of lock steps and different chassis that we know, but in one way or the other, do we need to show the spectators, and yes, if you want to do well in competition, to the judges, that I understand this music, I understand this rhythm, and my dancing has something to do with it. So it doesn't leave me entirely free. I'm not looking for freedom entirely. I'm looking for elation in achieving something that I can actually feel, wow, that was great, but that's the last thing that should happen. Everybody else should get wild first, and me the last. Yes. So now, I would like to show you a little group. Please, Sirpa, would you join me? I forget to say please. Yes, I admit that. So, come on, let's dance. In ChaChaCha, I'll take it from the basic underarm, ChaChaCha. Basic underarm turn into a fan, a two, a three, ChaChaCha, from where we go like this. 1, 2, 3, and